Hello and welcome into the Section 109 podcast. Here from Studio Breezy, Jim is considering whether to pour straight bourbon into his Canada Dry.
Yeah, I'm considering it.
I am joined here by Matthew, and I know being next to Matthew does make one want to do that. Also, Baba Juan, as always, is here. Mix is here. He is asleep. Toby is hiding because there's a lot of people. And a good podcaster would have asked you, John, how you say your last name before we started recording.
That's a good question. Miglarese.
Okay, so John Miglarese is here. Yep. Oops, that's the wrong button.
Yeah.
So we're starting off hot here. John, you are the director of the Chattanooga CFC Foundation, right?
Correct.
But that is far from the beginning of your soccer journey.
Yes.
So if you're cool with it, I think we'd like to start wherever you're comfortable starting on your soccer journey. So where does soccer intersect your life? I'm guessing as a kid, but I don't know where your thing starts. And if you kind of take us through, and I'm sure we'll take some dovetails and trails from there.
Yeah, so I grew up in Charleston, South Carolina. Played club soccer, ODP, region, high school, you name it. Did all the things in South Carolina as a young soccer player. Went to Georgia Southern on a scholarship. Played soccer there for 4 years.
What was your position?
I was a goalkeeper. Hence all the concussions and a little bit of
and being a little crazy.
A little out there. My wife would definitely agree. So I got a chance to have a trial with the Charlotte Eagles. It was a USL team back in the day.
Heck yeah.
Was offered a third-string goalkeeping position on no salary and realized
classic. You can work for free.
I think my time may be at an end. I was getting married and I couldn't justify like, hey, honey, I'm going to work, right, to not really bring any bread home. So, but I had the itch to coach. I worked some camps over my summers as a young college player, and just really started to kind of feel that draw towards the relational aspect of it, the tactical aspect of it, the blending of the two, the team chemistry was always interesting to me. And I would find myself kind of dissecting my coach's, Kevin, if you're out there, I'm sorry, his team talks and being like, oh, that sucked. Or like, oh, I should have heard that. Or, man, he should have done that sub instead of this one. So my brain was always kind of thinking in that way. And so, right out of college, I was a sport management major. Right out of college, I got an internship at Milligan College. One of my former coaches from high school was a college coach as well, and he was coaching at Milligan, so I went up there and I was the assistant for the women and the men. And I came back to Georgia Southern as a graduate assistant coach, got my master's degree at Georgia Southern, and coached at the Division I level, then left there, went to Gardner-Webb University as the associate head coach. Had 2 really good seasons there. And then got my first head coaching job at 27, here in the Chattanooga area at Covenant College. So I coached there for 4 years, and that's where my time with Chattanooga FC began to intersect a little bit. It was roughly 2009, that Sheldon, Thomas, and crew gave me a call and said, hey, we're starting the soccer team. Would you coach it? And I was like, okay. I had no idea what it was, what we're doing, like how we're doing this, but I love those 3 guys, and we sat in Crew's cabin and kind of, came up with an idea of how we're going to do a tryout, and did the tryout. And we had a bunch of people show up, and I picked about 80% of the first team, and then bounced. So I left and went to another college job, and to their credit, I was leaving as they were talking about moving into Findlay, and I'm like, you guys are nuts. Like Findlay, I was thinking like.
High school.
Let's use a high school or something. Maybe we'll get 400 people. So I apologize for doubting, but no. At the time, I was really feeling like college was where I was going to go. I had a great college coaching opportunity. I was still only 30 years old, and so I left. So I, on record, I'm the only undefeated CFC head coach in club history, but I'm also the only winless one either. So,
no wins, no draws, no
wins. I mean, I'm perfect across the board, I guess. And so then I went on the college coaching journey, had 2 or 3 different stops, ended up coaching in the PDL over the summers at one point, and really enjoyed that, and found myself really being drawn to that level of player, that pre-professional guys that had that X factor, something in their locker that's not quite there yet, and really building an intense environment over the summer and making them better, and had some results, developed some really good players that went on to play pro and All-Americans, and really loved the level. And so long story short, I get headhunted out of that to be Tormenta FC's coach. And so I transitioned.
Were you their first coach as well in their expansion
No, they had one coach before me, and then I transitioned it from USL2 to USL1.
Got it.
So I coached my first year there. I was a USL2 coach. We had a great year, or first 2 years there. Then transitioned my next 2 years as USL1. And that was a lot, man. That was my first dive into professional soccer. And one thing I learned in an amazing way was, until you're in the arena, you don't know anything, right? Like knowledge is nothing compared to experience. So I had a lot of experience or knowledge about how I wanted to play and how I wanted to do things. But coaching pros is a different animal. And I loved it. Loved every minute of it. It was humbling. And we had a really good year and did a whole lot of work, to be fair with you. My last year there, my tank was empty, just gone. I was technical director. I was technically the sporting director.
Was that a COVID year too?
Yeah, that last year as well. So it's interesting when you look back and you detach from it, you look at your last time or my last time there, I was burned out, completely burned out. I remember going into sessions, just my brain just fried. And I think I didn't know it at the time. I think my staff knew I was burned out. I think the owners knew I was burned out. I think the players knew I was burned out. My wife knew I was burned out. I didn't know I was burned out. But so that time came to an end. And then I took a year off and recalibrated. We actually moved to Chattanooga, and I worked here and just tried to decide what was going to be next. I didn't want to jump at the first thing.
What were some of the things that you felt were really helpful for, I guess, rebuilding, coming back from pretty bad burnout, it sounds like?
Yeah. So I think trying to emotionally detach from the project. I was involved in everything, the academy, the first team, the second team, and felt responsibility for everything. And so I think...
How big was the staff there? Or the technical staff, at least?
So it was me, who I was the technical director and head coach. I had an assistant coach who was also the USL2 head coach. I had two other assistant coaches that coached in the academy. It was just us. And then we would bring in some staff for the summers for USL2. It was a lot. It was a whole lot.
Yeah.
But it was great. I mean, I learned a whole lot and was humbled and enjoyed it. And so to answer your question, that time in between jobs, I remember sitting at a coffee shop, and I'd write all my notes and pre-games and post-games and things like that. I was looking at something. I was thinking of how I approached one game, and I remember just pushing my chair back and be like, shit, like, that was wrong. Like, I got it all wrong. But it's so hard to see it when your nose is up against it, right? But to be able to detach from it, emotionally remove from it, re-engage with it, and see it as something objective, and then really going back through it and just learning, right? And so since I've got my UEFA B and my UEFA A, and then was looking at some opportunities, wasn't sure what was next, and then St. Louis called, and it was too good of an opportunity to pass up, and off I went.
So what did you start out doing in St. Louis?
So my first role was the U21's head coach, which was essentially our second team at the time, because we were in the process of launching the MLS team. So our first team was the MLS Next Pro team. And so even though we were MLS Next Pro with the first team, we had about 12 to 15 guys from our first team roster already in. We were already flying in Berkey. We already flew in some of our DPs. They were training and playing some games. We had guys that were on the bubble. It was a cluster of players, but it was very much a first team kind of dry run, if you will. And then that season ended, and then I was given the choice. I could either take the head coaching job with the second team MLS Next Pro, or I could be the assistant coach in the first team, and I chose to go with the first team, and it's great. It was awesome. We had an amazing year. We won the Western Conference, started out 5-0 as an expansion team, and you never know how things go, right? It was similar to 2009. You just don't know what to expect. And I knew St. Louis was a big soccer town, and there seemed to be a buzz, but you just don't know. But we had our home opener, and we scored our first goal, and that place was I've never heard anything that loud, and nobody sat down. All 25,000 people, like everybody stood the whole game, and it was awesome. It was a lot. It was a lot.
Yeah, you had to know, because I think that that season, the season before with MLS Next Pro,
yeah,
I mean, there were crowds.
There were.
I remember watching that and thinking, St. Louis is, they're ready.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and St. Louis has long been like Soccer City, USA.
For sure.
But as I was making fun of a friend of mine that's from near St. Louis the other day, like you don't get to say that until you do it.
Right.
And like they had done it back in the day. But it is cool to see now, because like it's they're doing it right. They're doing a big thing,
Yeah.
And folks are still showing up.
Yeah,
Even
they
though,
are for both teams. I mean, for
which is cool.
The next pro team. I mean, they probably have.
They lead the league in attendance.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we had, I think, my last year there when I was with the second team, I think we had like 12,500 people one of our games.
Yeah.
It was pretty much the lower bowl was almost full. So, yeah, they show up.
Who were some of your soccer idols growing up?
Oh, man. Old. Right. Remember I was a goalkeeper.
We like old.
So Walter Zinga.
Nice.
The goalkeeper from Italy. I always loved watching Tony Meola as a young goalkeeper. Something about the ponytail. That was pretty cool.
He's an absolute legend.
Yeah, and then, in terms of, field players, Paul Scholes, I'm a Man United fan, and so it's always Roy Keane. I thought those two were.
Yeah, that's too bad.
Yeah, well, this was going well, wasn't it?
You're doing great. I think I don't care about any of the English Premier League teams. So whatever makes Jim mad is good.
Well, okay. For guys my age, right, I'm 47, so soccer wasn't on TV as a kid, right? I had to get up at whatever, like at 9 a.m. on Sunday mornings to watch reruns of the Dutch league, right? And so I was watching Ajax and FC
Incredible.
Twente.
You got to find somebody with a satellite.
Yeah, but that was my introduction to pro soccer, right?
Yeah.
And then I would train with and watch the Charleston Battery, and that's pretty much all I knew. And then when the World Cup would roll around, you watch those games, but that was kind of it. And then in college, I was in college when Man United had that '99 season. And
I don't remember that. I don't remember.
yeah, that's a great year. Should go back.
Typical Arsenal
and just-
fan. Forgetting.
ESPN started showing Champions League games, and that didn't happen before. And so just being able to watch them, and that's when I was hooked. So now I watch Man United and don't recognize them. It's like the jerseys.
Well,
are the
you're
same
talking about.
color.
I feel like one of the pinnacle happened between then and now of
Yes.
like being a Man United fan, and now it's kind of the opposite experience for a lot of
real
people.
slog for about
Yeah.
10 years now.
It has been. My daughter told me the other day, she's 18, and she remembers being 9 and thinking like, "How is Daddy coaching Man United through the TV?" Because I was screaming at the TV. So
Yeah.
sorry, babe. No, that was me. That was my frustration.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Understood.
And then to finish up, after our first year or with the first team, my last year there, I worked with the second team. We had a great year, and then as everything does, contracts run out, coaching changes happen, staffs changes. Everybody that brought me there is now gone. Sporting director, technical director, everybody's gone. It's it's just that's just the way that level is. You're in, you're out. But it was a great time for sure.
Growing up, what got you started playing? Did you get just your parents? Did you automatically have like from another sport? Like, oh, I have the hands, so I'm going to play goalkeeper. Like, how did you end up? I guess starting playing soccer, and then how did you end up playing goalkeeper?
Yeah. So I remember I was at McDonald's with my mom. I was 5, and this team walked in with these cool burgundy uniforms. I was like, whoa, I want to do that.
Yeah.
So my mom signed me up, and they I think my grandparents came in from North Carolina in my first game, and they put me in goal. And still, I got a screw loose. I have no fear. So like I'm, head first in the balls, diving here, jumping there, and like, oh, he's good. Keep him in there. So my grandmother thought I was in timeout the whole game because I had to sit back, which would not have been abnormal for me.
They never give him
As
the
a-
ball.
No, and so like, I played baseball, had a good hand-eye coordination, and again, like maybe had a screw loose. I didn't shrink away. I took balls in the face, and enjoy the physical aspect.
Where'd you play? Where'd you play base? Did you play catcher? That would be.
No, I didn't do that. I was center field.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you had some.
Had some athleticism then.
Yeah, I could run around. I could throw a ball.
Yeah.
I pitched, but then I would clobber people. I wasn't a great pitcher. I could throw it hard, but I would just destroy kids. So I didn't pitch much.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's how I ended up in goal. And, I don't know if it was one of those things where I loved it or I was really good at it. It's one of those things where I kind of found my thing and stuck with it, and went to USC soccer camp as a 9-year-old and then went with the goalkeepers and kind of never looked back from there.
I guess one more question about coaching before we get into how you ended up here at the CFC Foundation. What's it like? You've built college rosters, you've built semi-pro rosters, you've built professional rosters, and then obviously been involved in USL 1, MLS Next Pro, and Big MLS. Like, can you kind of give there's a lot of really nerdy people listen to this podcast because I guess you make the art and you attract the people that are like you. So I think a lot of people would enjoy hearing some of the nuances of and some of the differences of when you're putting together a roster.
Yeah.
And when you're thinking about building a team, like how do you think about that?
Yeah, two aspects. There's a book that I read a long time ago called The Speed of Trust. And it talks about trust is earned through character and competence, right? And so when you look at, if you try to simplify, because I know we spoke before we came on about data and things like that. The whole art of coaching is making complicated things simple, right? And so there's some players that objectively you may look at and be like, he's good. I may look at him like he's a donkey. And it's just the way it is, right? So we need something to prove us like otherwise. And so I think in terms of building a roster, I have a game in my head that I want to play, right? And it's my job as the coach, as Ralph Ragnick has said, to put that game into the brains and veins of your players. So if I bring in a player that doesn't fit that game, there's immediate friction. So in terms of how your player profiles is, you can't just go find every good player. You have to find players that fit a certain system and style and philosophy. So that's one, right? And then obviously technical, there's aspects of technical speed, physical speed, mental speed, the basics and the nuts and bolts of a player. But how do they fit within the framework of your philosophy? And then two, how do they fit within the framework of your leadership philosophy? Because you got to know who they are. And so for me, I always, even at what I did with Tormenta FC, is I went for a ton of Division II guys. We went for some big-time Division I's, but we brought in a lot of Division II All-Americans, guys that were below the radar, that had a chip on their shoulder, had something to prove. And a lot of them are still playing. 6 years on, they're still playing. They're in the USL. They're all over the place. One's in MLS. Great example is a guy named Connor Antley, who plays for DC United now, who had played at Mercer and then didn't get drafted, didn't get picked up. He was working at Chick-fil-A. And we invited him in to play for a USL 2 team. He didn't make the starting roster for that. He was kind of on the reserve team for that. But this guy had an engine and an edge, and he trained and he worked, and then he got a start, and he never looked back. We signed him for USL 1, was the USL Defender of the Year. Got a move after year 1 to the USL Championship, and he's moved his way up to DC United. So those are kind of the cool stories, right? So having that edge, that young and hungry, right? And even in MLS Next Level, last year with our second team, some of our best performers were guys that didn't get drafted, guys that weren't drafted. Like they're pissed, right? And so to bring them in and to give them the opportunity to prove people wrong, like that, you can't bottle that up. So it's finding that balance of experience and then young and hungry. And it could tip one way or the other quickly, but it's finding those little pieces here and there. So.
I guess I lied. One more question, or maybe more than that. You've coached at both levels, right? You've coached in MLS Next Pro and at USL, the Division III level. What are some of the differences and similarities, whatever else that you see? What are kind of your observations on looking at those two leagues?
Between USL 1 and MLS Next Pro?
Yeah.
I would say USL 1 now is older.
A lot older, right?
I would say the average age is significantly older than what it was when I was there. When I was in USL 1, we still had North Texas and some MLS 2s in the league. Mm-hmm. So that would bring the league down a little bit, or the League 8, or at least the roster age a little bit down. I would say, seeing MLS Next Pro last year, it's an interesting league to coach in because you can watch film, you can prepare, you can build your game model, and you're thinking, okay, when this left back gets on the ball, that's our pressing trigger. We're going to force him to the inside. You build your entire idea about how you're going to play, and the roster comes out, and they're not there. And 7 first-team guys get moved out. And you're like, well, all right, boys. We
Things have changed.
Game in our hand. Yeah. Or the opposite. We're like, who are these kids? And then it's like the U17s show up. And then it's a different battle because then the game just loses its feel very quickly. So that's the biggest thing I would say that the challenge as a coaching staff is that the roster variability is significant at MLS Next Pro. You never know when they're going to, even at Tormenta, we went down to play North Texas, and their DP needed some minutes to come back from an injury. So here's a guy making $1.something million a year from Paraguay. I'm like, all right, boy, go get him. Right? So that's that variability that can happen with MLS teams. I think USL 1, you have they're not bringing guys in and out. You may get a few lone guys here and there, but who they are in May is pretty much who they're going to be in October. That can completely change in MLS. Even with St. Louis last year, our first team dipped. They brought 5 of our guys up, and so we were playing kids for about a month, and we just had to get through it, and then we got them back and kind of piecemealed it from there. But yeah,
how did you guys in St. Louis handle? Because I think this is an interesting look in for someone that's been we have guessed in the past and talked to people who knew other people, but like, how did you guys handle, and I'm sure coaches might all handle it differently, so I don't want to say that how everyone handles it, but how did you handle the players that might train with the first team and then play with the second team, or did they train with the second team all? Like, how did that work? Because I think in our head, or at least in my head, I think of like mostly a 2-team all together, and then a first team is mostly a first team all together, and there not being too much crossover. But then I've been told that sometimes there's a ton of crossover where like maybe guys train with the first team all week and then just drop down and play because they're the end of the roster. Can you paint a picture there?
Yeah, it depends on the team. I know, or club.
Sure.
There are some clubs that just like you're there and we're here, and y'all just don't mess anything up, right? I think that's a lot of DC, or so that's a lot of MLS teams.
Columbus is like that, I think.
I don't know. One of my former assistants is one of the assistants there, and they have some variability, not as much, but they will have some. At St. Louis, our sporting director, Lutz van der Steel, he came from a German model from Hoffenheim, and there was lots of movement up and down. And so, we would have a core group that would train with us, but we knew once the first team figured out their roster, they would drop some guys down, and we would try to get at least a couple sessions that they would train with us to kind of get them ready to play with us. Each week. Sometimes if we played on Sunday, they played on Saturday night, we were told, here's who you're getting tomorrow. He needs 45 minutes. He needs 60 minutes. And it's like, all right, we got to figure that out. So we would have situations where guys would be dropped down to us and train with us for a while. And then we'd have the opposite. Our guys would go up, invited to first team training, but then they didn't make the 18 and they come back down to us. So there was always that kind of roster mobility. And to prepare for your games, it can be a real challenge because you're managing not only the tactics and having everybody. I mean, you have to play the same principles. You can't have like 2 different principles, but we had very similar principles between the 2 teams.
Nashville and Huntsville had that issue at the beginning of 2024.
Yeah. They went through 3 coaches,
and it saw the dismissal of Jack Collison a month before Gary Smith got fired.
Yeah, I mean that's a lot. There's a lot to move, and plus they're like 3 hours away from each other. I couldn't imagine that. We were down the hall, right?
Yeah, we've heard some stories from there that like are third hand, so we don't know for sure was true. But some of those stories are like guy trains in Nashville all week. That's a second team guy, but trains in Nashville, or maybe even lives in Nashville all week, and then comes down for the weekend or whatever to Huntsville, assuming they're not in the first team roster, and so they didn't maybe have the continuity of just teammate stuff.
Yeah, I mean, so much of the continuity that we'd have is we shared the same cafeteria, right? And so there was more of a esprit de corps between the 2 teams and more connectivity for sure. It wasn't perfect, right? But we made it work.
No, that makes sense. Also, do you see this is a fact check for I think Matthew and I think Jim mostly agrees with this as well. It seems to us that you see about the middle of the season in MLS Next Pro, the level it raises precipitously. Well, number one, I guess, do you see the premise of that question as being correct? And if you do, what would you attribute that to?
Yeah, I think preseason results in MLS Next Pro is fool's gold if you're winning. And if you lost all of them, don't worry. I think you see teams really find their stride in May and June. And so I think teams that have had a more congruent roster, like a CFC, you'll see teams like them start off really well. Because they kind of know who they are. They've had a preseason. I mean, we were 2 games in to our season last year. Yeah, it was last year with the second team. And we're still figuring out who our roster was, right? Like we're still putting it all together. So those first 4 to 5, 6 weeks is kind of a cluster for a lot of MLS Next Pro teams. And then, yes, you'll see them find their stride come May, June. However, that July time, I would say it's the opposite. It dips because now – you have scheduled, I wouldn't say conflicts of congestion for the first team, and all of a sudden those young second team guys start getting pulled up, so teams start dipping again, and then they get out of that congestion, and then it kind of peaks again September, October. That's what I've experienced because last year it looked like the results in July were all over the map, and then it kind of steadied back out for the last part of the season.
Makes sense. We also have a theory with that too, that in addition to everything you said, which makes perfect sense, there's an age development thing that happens too. So some of your 18, 19, 20-year-olds have a chance to take that leap during the season, and you might see a 19-year-old beginning of the season that was like is getting their first minutes against men. For sure. And then like 19-year-olds can change a lot.
Oh yeah.
And so you see some of these kids, you're like, damn, that kid's good. Like that moment of magic.
Well, we saw that with our U20s this fall. Same thing. Just the difference of playing against guys. But you're exactly right. Like guys that haven't touched their ceiling yet, you see them in, April, and all of a sudden in October, now they're touching their ceiling as a different animal.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So, I mean, adding to that, or I guess taking a different take, you will hear people who follow professional soccer in the United States, who follow various leagues, point to those things that we just talked about as reasons to ignore Next Pro. That all it is a laboratory for young kids to get some playing time, so they then play in the real pro league, was MLS.
Maybe in the Western Conference.
So that the variability in roster, the idea that you don't really know who you're going to play, impacts the competitive balance of the league, and impacts really the product. And from a club's viewpoint, you might completely disagree. If you're looking at it from the MLS club's vantage point, no, our young players are getting good quality time.
Yeah,
but from a spectator or a supporter, I think you will hear people talk about those things as negatives towards Next Pro, as a real player in a quote whatever the pyramid we've got. It is a anomaly, and it's not really something that is for the best of the sport when you look at it from the perspective of a supporter.
I think it just depends on your perspective, right? So if you look at USL 1, you're seeing players at the tail end of their career. Most of those guys aren't on the way up. A lot of them have been in either an MLS environment or never got beyond the third division, and they're kind of on the back end of their career. With MLS Next Pro, you're seeing the very beginnings of some of these top young players. That if you look at clubs like FC Dallas that have developed McKinney and all these other guys that have come through, I mean, that North Texas team that I coached against,
Ricardo Pepi,
had him up top.
Right? He was a problem. He was a problem.
Yeah, I mean, like those guys are going to be coming in your stadiums, right? And I think, and when you look at the brand, right, and the overall brand, I think it really just depends on how you look at it, right? I think in terms of these are young players on their way up, as opposed to these are guys that are just hanging on to it on the back end. I'm not saying anything disrespectful to USL. I'm just saying it's just a different beast.
No, as a matter of fact, I don't think the USL supporters would take that as an insult. I think they would take that as that's because we're a real club and Next Pro is AA ball.
I would totally.
I'm not saying that's fair.
Yeah, I would disagree with that. Okay.
I mean, if you want to watch 29-year-olds with rocks for feet, knock yourself out. But like,
I mean,
listen. I'm just.
And if they were mine, I would.
If there's somebody here who's not a US, I mean, I think my anti-USL bona fides are solid. So
we know you're not making a USL's good case.
So I'm saying when you look at when you listen to soccer people, and I put that in scare quotes, that they will use everything you've said, what we talked about, as negatives, as reasons reasons to ignore Next Pro, or reasons like, they sure as hell should have never been in the Open Cup because of X, Y, and Z. And so I'm interested in somebody who's been there and done it at the ML, at USL, at a USL club and an MLS club. How does that? I guess what's your reaction to those?
Last year we played 2 USL ones and 1 USL championship preseason, and we won every single one of them. So, or we didn't lose, I know that much. Mm-hmm. And these are good USL teams. So you have a 17-year-old U18 national team player at right back. That's pretty exciting to watch for me, as opposed to a 31-year-old who's on the back end of his career. And again, that's just just opinions and how you look at it. But I would say that trajectory of young players, that ceiling hasn't been reached yet. And there's just so much potential that you can see. But you may pitch up to a game and there could be like, it just may not have a lot in it. But I've also seen some USL games in the heat of summer that were just like horrible to watch. And I've also seen some MLS Next Pro games that were horrible to watch because a lot of the scouting now would do, I'm like, oh my God, this game's awful. So, it just depends on a lot of variables.
Sure. Well, again, I would say there are a lot of Nations League games in England that are terrible to watch, but those people are still connected to their club. And again, I think it's just listening to a lot of USL folks talk and other people involved in the soccer community who just minimize what Next Pro is or can be because of the transient nature of a lot of the teams.
Yeah,
I think those people should support their local club and not worry about anything else.
Mostly because they're all going to be here one day.
Yeah, well, there's
maybe, but even if that doesn't happen, like, who cares what everybody else is doing?
I was just interested.
No, I think it's a good question. I just think like those people, regardless of whether they can have opinions, at the old saying goes, opinions like assholes. Like everybody's got one, and some of them stink. Like you're allowed to have your own opinion, but also like it does have your opinion about your team, and quit worrying about mine.
It doesn't bother me. It doesn't matter who we play. I'm there to watch us, not necessarily the other team.
I'll make a note for listeners and viewers because I looked at this literally yesterday. The average age of the lowest age team in USL League One last year was Richmond Kickers at age 25.
Wow,
was their average age.
Yeah.
And the Kickers have a pretty robust academy.
Yeah. They've gone that model.
We'll play some kids. They just had a guy that came through get drafted after his freshman year at Virginia, I think. And so like that was 25. There's one championship team that hit 24.0. That was Orange County, also known for playing young players transferring to Europe. CFC, for comparison, was the oldest Next Pro team across Eastern and Western conferences. And I think we hit 24.8 was our average age. And that includes a 41-year-old.
A very, very good 41-year-old.
A quite excellent 41-year-old.
Right. Curve buster.
But so CFC, oldest team in Next Pro, it's not particularly close, yet younger than anyone in the third division or in on the independent side in the League One. So just an interesting fun fact.
Yeah.
How did you end? Now, you said you guys made home here. So when St. Louis, when the time ended there, did you then come directly back here? And then,
yeah, so there are a lot of variables with that. So I had some opportunity to jump right back in to the next coaching opportunity. But my son was getting married this year. My daughter was graduating high school, starting college.
Congratulations.
And thank you. And we needed a break. I think, the thing about professional coaching, as awesome as it is, you have no control of your life at all. And I like to be able to have the freedom to attend some of my kids' things for a little bit. So my family needed me to hit the pause button on the chasing it meter.
Sure.
So, but Sheldon Grizzle, back to my story with, I met Sheldon at Covenant College, and then, I was helping him start CFC way back. Now, I did very little. They did a whole lot. I don't want to give any kind of idea that I did a lot of work. But having that background, he and I have been close friends ever since. And, we've talked on and off about, opportunities at CFC from time to time that never really lined up. But, he told me that Crew was stepping down from the CFC Foundation. And it was an opportunity to move out to Chattanooga. My kids consider Chattanooga home. My wife's a Covenant grad. I dated her downtown Chattanooga. We've got great memories of our time here. And this is kind of our home away from home. If Charleston's home base, Chattanooga is a very close second. So the opportunity to come back and add value, right? Foundation is different than pro soccer, which is, I think I needed a break from it. My family needed a break from it, but, still scratched the itch a little bit with the U20s. But yeah, so we started that conversation, and then I started late January, but I was commuting. So I'd spend a week here, and then I'd drive back to St. Louis for a week, spend another week, and just did that for several months so my daughter could finish high school. And then once everybody was finished with all their school, we packed it up, and now we live on Lookout Mountain. So here we are.
Nice. What is, what does kind of your day look like now working out of professional soccer? Obviously, you're still doing some coaching, so I'd love to hear about that coaching. But like, what does your day to day look like on the foundation side, and kind of what are you working on?
Yeah, it's a lot. One of the big different on a personal level, I have breakfast with my 6-year-old every morning, which is new.
Incredible.
You know, I mean, as a pro coach, I was up working out at 5, out the door by 6. We were just getting after it all the time. But really, this past year, with crew stepping down, I had some really, really big shoes to fill. And I'm not crew. I'm a different person. And so I needed to kind of land in my own way and figure out, on your first few weeks, you're like, all right, where are the lights? How do I turn my computer on? Like, you're just starting from nothing. And so the biggest thing we've done over the last year is do strategic planning. So I hired a consultancy group to come in called the Focus Group, and they've walked us through a long, arduous process of who we are, why we're here, how we're going to do things, what we're going to focus on. And we've revamped our mission, our vision, our values. We've got 4 key initiatives we're now going to lean into from 26 to 28. And so really just kind of narrow down who we are and what we're doing. So that's been the majority of my work. And I was meeting with the board last week. Now that we've put a cap on the strategic plan and they've approved it and voted for it, and I was like, shoot, now we got to do it. So the next 3 years is now implementing that plan. And so that's been the biggest thing I've done over the years is just really leaning into that.
Anything you found particularly rewarding about that side of the, again, you're not in professional soccer anymore, so you're working on the, I don't want to call it grassroots because I don't want to sell it short, but you're working on the foundation side of it. Like what's rewarding, I guess, in that, and maybe what's challenging too.
No, it's using the game to invest in people, and that's really why I got into it to begin with. Right? A year ago I was coaching designated players. Right? Now I'm working with young kids that don't have a whole lot. Right? That have had some trauma in their past, and with our large migrant community here in town, some of the fear that they've been dealing with, and soccer can be a safe place, a safe space for them, with people that care for them, that want to invest in them. And again, it's the best game in the world. So it's an easy way to attract young people. And it's really been neat to see, okay, I was working with high-performing soccer players, but now I'm working with someone like Caitlin Newsom, who's a high-performing nonprofit director of operations. And it's just really cool to see the correlation of like, here's somebody who's crushing it, just in a different venue. And so I've learned a lot from her, learned a lot from the staff I've worked with, learned a lot from the kids. But yeah, it's really neat just to have those opportunities to build relationships with kids in the community. And the vision of CFC was never all about soccer. I mean, I was there. I learned that much in those first couple meetings. Right, it was never all about soccer at the very beginning. They wanted it to be a rallying point, and to use the game to invest in a broad amount of people. And so we're just that arm of CFC, if you will.
Well, I think that's what. That's the history of football, the sport. I mean, it was very much played by people who didn't come from a lot.
Absolutely.
And it's what makes it the world's game, and it's what makes the game I think important. And so I think it's what makes CFC a little different than your average maybe any other third division club. You can correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know how many other clubs have a foundation, let alone I think that an organization that I think a lot of people, the founders, would call really the heart of the club. I know that we're in the stands on Saturday nights and we cheer the team, but the heart of the club, and I think it was made very clear to a lot of people in 17, 18, 19 when we went through that this is one thing that makes CFC different than anyone else. And I think it just ties us. It ties us to the city in ways that maybe I don't know if fans of any other club are ever listening to this, but they may say I'm being arrogant, but who cares? I think it makes us kind of really special, at least in third division, and maybe even beyond that.
Yeah, I mean, at St. Louis there was a foundation for sure, but you're looking at, the ownership group were the owners of Enterprise Rental Car. They've got a little pocket change, right? Yeah. This is a grassroots club in a lot of ways, right? And so I think, I think there's a lot of pride in terms of how we co-brand the foundation, and the work that we're doing. And on my board are two of the original founders from the old days, right? And so, yeah, it's always been the point, right? I think soccer has always been the vehicle. It's never been the main thing,
Right.
Yeah, and I always abbreviate CFC's mission. This is the whole CFC, including everything, is to make like Chattanooga better through soccer. And I think that's one of the things that makes it more than just a simple thing to do on Sundays. Like it's a thing that is more than that.
Right.
And I think it speaks to a lot of people differently, everybody differently. So I don't want to pretend my experience is what everybody else has, but I think it is one of the things, the through lines that run through most people that choose to make this their church, the way that our parents made the church the center of their social lives. Many people, my wife and I included, have made this the center of our social life. Yeah. I think Matt would say something similar. Like this is, it's more than that. And a big part of that is making the city and be more than about just playing games on the weekend.
Well, I've always believed the fans got to see themselves in the team. They got to see themselves in the brand, in what the club stands for, what it's doing, not just on the field but off. And I think that connectivity, you can't. I mean, that's so hard to create, and it's so easy to lose. That's the hard thing.
You can't buy it, right?
No.
So CFC was founded with that in mind, and we could certainly lose it. It is something we all have to work to continue, but it is very, very hard. And this isn't a shot at anybody, but if you're an MLS team and you come to a market, it is very difficult to create that thing underneath, because it's not about what you want to do. It's about what others choose to rally around and then to build. What did you guys have as the podcast that Chattanooga built? As the club that Chattanooga built forever.
The podcast that CFC built.
But like there was always a joke like this is the not joke that was a joke that came from the club that Chattanooga built.
Yeah.
And like it is the club that Chattanooga built. People have spent hundreds and thousands of hours volunteering and working for free to build things, whether it's the club or the community that surrounds it, the Chattahooligans, the Nooga section folks, or whoever you want to do. Plus, obviously, the foundation. Like it's a thing that I think is really, really special.
Yeah, for sure.
I would like to put pause on some of the foundation stuff for future looking. You mentioned a kind of a strategic plan, and I want to talk about that, but I want to fight a little bit first.
You want to talk about the real important things, is what you're saying.
I want to learn everything good and bad that you think about food.
Yeah.
Because we're a food podcast masquerading as a soccer podcast.
I'm okay with that.
So let's
This is Jim's favorite part.
Yeah, this is stuff we didn't bother with this nonsense.
Let's start off with just open-ended. What do you think your most controversial food take is?
Give you an example. I am a mayo on a hot dog guy.
Oh my God.
I'm a mayo on a lot of things guy. As you can probably tell from looking at me.
Yeah.
But I'm a mayo on
your
hot
skin
dog guy.
So I do not eat seafood unless I'm on the coast, because fish shouldn't smell like fish.
I think that's a reasonable take, actually. That's
I
entirely
don't
too
think
reasonable.
That's that hot.
We'll get there.
Okay,
We'll find something
okay.
objectionable.
So growing up in Charleston, I had the blessing of being able to see the shrimp boats take the food off their boat and put it in the kitchen and onto my plate in about 30 minutes. So it's a little different.
Yeah, that's
unfreeze some fish and shrimp. Like it's not the same.
Is there a place here in town you would get any sort of seafood?
Captain D's.
No.
Jim. Good. All right. Cool.
Any kind of seafood. Like, would I put like shrimp on a taco? Yes.
But you're not getting oysters anywhere here.
No chance. No chance.
Good. We're on the right track. We're on the right track.
Yeah.
Are you a good cook?
No, not at all. I can make eggs. I can make spaghetti. I can do French toast. But beyond that, if I start I can cook some meat from here and there from time to time. But if I get out of that comfort zone, I go south real quick.
So this is now an eating podcast and not a cooking podcast.
Yeah, I'm not a cook.
Okay.
Fair.
Well, the next question is
it's still a good question.
what did you ever cook for your now wife when you guys were dating?
I think I made cookies once, but I ate like 2/3 of them.
Carbs.
Yeah.
Did you slice them and put them on the tray? Is that what you?
No, like I had a tray, ate 2/3 of the tray, and put the other third in the bag. And said, "Here you go."
I made you some.
We have a question
All
here.
four of them.
That's your go-to dish to impress someone.
Ooh, Low Country Broil.
Okay.
You know what that is?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we can do at the house. I can do that well. because it's like the easiest thing in the world to do.
And you probably, get that manual when you're 2 years old.
Yeah. Like you're born with that, knowing how to do that if you grew up in Charleston.
Is that like your kind of go-to comfort food dish?
Nah, Chipotle, man. Like, I don't know what it is.
Absolutely.
My daughter thinks I have a problem, and I think I do.
No, it's better to deny.
Recently, like I could eat it every day. Sorry.
What's your Chipotle order?
Oh, easy. No beans whatsoever, because that ruins it for me. Rice, chicken, veggies, queso, pico, cheese, sour cream, some of the hot sauce, and then depending on the budget, guac. Depending on like if I'm going to splurge or not.
Burrito or bowl?
Depends on the day and the mood.
Why? What's the?
No idea.
So it's not a carb choice. It's not a health choice.
Sometimes it's like maybe no,
Maybe no bread today.
no bread today. Maybe
White rice or brown rice?
white.
There's like almost no health benefit except for a little more, I think, fiber in the brown
Yeah,
rice.
fiber.
I mean, it's Chipotle. I just assumed.
Yeah.
Do you ever like whenever they run like those little like, oh, we've got like a adobo chicken or we've got whatever, like do you always like?
I'll try it every now and then.
Okay,
I
but
go back
you're
to
pretty
the-
standard.
I go back to the standard pretty quick.
Yeah, and one of the only problems with Chipotle is they will occasionally have very dry steak.
Yeah.
So like you got to cut it. The chicken's much more consistent.
This is making me miss Mojo Burrito.
Yeah. Right.
R.I.P..
I lived in Chattanooga when Mojo was around. That
R.I.P.
I did
man.
miss that.
Absolutely.
Like the old St. Elmo one, like the time.
Yes, yes, yes.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes,
That was a good one.
there's a new restaurant there now.
Yeah.
I haven't been
Well,
there.
where the St. Elmo one is?
Yeah, the old Mojo was.
It's a coffee shop.
Is it a coffee shop?
Isn't it Goodman's Coffee?
Yes,
Is it Goodman's?
Well, the new
don't
St.
know.
Elmo or the first St. Elmo location?
The one on the hill.
Oh, the newer one. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the only one I knew.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I mean, I went to.
They
There were like
across the street before.
Oh, there used to be a
interesting.
one and an absolute like it was the size of this room.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a strip mall.
I never
Kinda.
went in that one.
Yeah, that's the old St. Elmo.
Yeah. I remember that one.
That's the one I remember as
Yep.
well.
Yeah.
All right, favorite pregame meal.
I guess I've already used Chipotle.
I mean,
you can use it again.
you can provide evidence that you have a problem.
As a coach or as a player? That's a
Oh, let's do both.
Yeah, I want to know about both.
Assuming they're different.
yeah, I think as a player, always went for like a sub sandwich kind of a thing. I don't know why that. Don't think that's as great for you nowadays based on the research, but like that's what I did way back.
When you're 22, nothing matters. You could eat whatever
You could
you
eat
want.
10 cans and still go
Bingo.
right. Yeah. As a coach, I would definitely always went for a whole lot more protein than any kind of carb for whatever reason. Like I didn't like feeling full on the sideline because I yell a lot. So
Were you superstitious? Like,
no, I just like how I feel.
so if you ate something and twice and you won 2 in a row, you didn't get any
No,
temptation
I'm not
to.
one of those guys. One of my sporting directors wouldn't change clothes until they like if they won, he wear the same freaking clothes.
My guy,
And when we,
my kind of guy.
and we went 5-0, it's like, bro, like
Starting to smell.
a little weird. But hey, whatever works for you.
This was
Little
this is in St. Louis.
Yeah, Lutz.
I love
Where
it.
is he now? Aberdeen.
Yeah. He's the Aberdeen sporting director.
I am very superstitious, so I get it.
Yeah, I'm not at all.
Favorite post game meal. Chipotle makes a lot
Chipotle.
of sense here.
Yep.
Can I just say Chipotle for everything?
You
Is that
can.
wrong?
You can.
Because I remember one game in particular, like the ops team brought in Chipotle. I was like, oh my God, this is amazing.
Was it a loss or a win?
I don't even care.
It apparently doesn't matter.
Does it wipe the memory?
I don't know. It's just that's all I remember. Favorite post game meal. So there's this Cuban place downtown St. Louis that our ops teams had figured out, and what I liked about our ops guys in St. Louis, they would try to stay away from the major chains, and they would try to go for a lot of local spots.
Hell yeah.
So there's a Cuban spot that they would always bring food in. It was ridiculous. I forgot the name of it, but yeah, that was the best post game in St. Louis.
Cuban food done right is
Yeah.
unbelievable.
Yep.
Cannot agree more with that. Do you like seltzer by chance? Like the alcoholic, like White Claws, Trulies? Prefer beer?
Yeah.
What's your favorite beer?
I would say kind of a Yingling guy.
Okay.
That's what kind of my standard is.
Like if
Classic.
Like if you guys won a game, would you go back to the office and like crack a Yingling together?
Or it was whatever was in the fridge for us. You know,
is that a thing that like I've heard stories about this at sometimes usually bigger clubs that like have offices and you know, fridges and stuff. Like
I mean, some like the what I loved about the Minnesota staff is after the game, we went into their team room, their coach's locker, and both staffs would drink a beer and talk.
That's the most Minnesota thing I've ever heard.
It was pretty cool.
Wonderful hospitality.
He's long gone. I forgot his name. He was the head coach there.
Adrian Heath.
Yeah, Adrian. Yeah. Super old school, but like that was really neat. No, like St. Louis is an interesting town, and so there's a lot of local stuff. So there are a lot of local brews that would be brought to us that would be in the fridge in the post-game rooms.
And you could consider Anheuser-Busch local if you chose to.
This is true. This is very true.
So you have a lot of choice at that point.
They didn't put that together. You're right.
Oh, that's funny. That's real funny.
Yeah.
We had always heard about those kind of things at big major places.
Mm-hmm.
We established a tradition as an amateur club of like trying to go to whatever bar is the closest to the stadium.
Yeah.
In 2014, we were talking before the podcast when things started. In 2014, that codified as being the same place every time when Chattanooga Brewing Company was open.
Yeah.
I remember hearing that. Yeah.
And that's a tradition, you know, today it's been going to the Ultra Club.
Really?
After
It's become the
matches.
Ultra Club.
Players and coaches
Players and coaches still.
Nice.
And
Players, coaches, fans.
Yeah.
Like,
that's interesting.
So when
They
you
can
win
get ugly
together,
quick.
you win together and you lose together.
Yeah.
And I do think it creates a certain level of honesty with one another.
Yeah.
Like especially if guys are willing to show face. Like it's up to them. They're not required, of course, but if they're willing to, it breaks down the wall between players and fans. Also, I think it's for us fans, if you're in the stands and you just see somebody on the field and they're 30 feet away all the time,
right,
and you never get a chance to look at them eye to eye, human to human, in my case, man to man, like you don't see them as the same thing. And you can get a little out of your skis as far as like maybe not treating them with respect of like, oh, they tried hard or they didn't or whatever else. But if you're able to, you know, buy that man in this case or during the women's season, buy that woman a drink or just chat or whatever the circumstances as regular humans and connect without that wall, I think it makes us much more of a community because especially at this level, like we are all a part of the same community. We don't have like Messi's bodyguard running around like blocking things off, right? Like we're all a part of this community. If you see somebody at the grocery store or you see them at the Ultra Club, it's different, and it's nice to have that wall down.
Yeah. I think too many fans forget that players are humans.
Yeah.
And if you are likely to see somebody and you spend time with them, you are less likely to I think you're less likely to boo them. Right. You're less likely to say like awful things about them on the internet. Mm-hmm. And I think we see that in sport way too often.
Yeah.
Easy to sit behind a keyboard of a phone and say something toxic about somebody that you're never going to see and like do it with anonymity and no consequences. You're just generally not going to do that to somebody's face, and you're not going to want to do that.
Right.
And you're probably going to have a lot more respect for somebody if they show up, especially after a loss. When a player shows up and it's just like, you know, that was a tough one, and you mourn your loss together physically in the same room.
It makes the win so much.
It makes the win so much better.
So much better.
No,
so much sweeter.
For a third division club, I think that's necessary for sure.
And I don't think it's always like, I'm not saying every club can replicate that, right? Mm-hmm. But we have that tradition, and I hope we forever replicate that.
No, that's really neat. You know, funny enough, for a small time with the first team, I was on the other side of that, where my wife and I be at a restaurant, and I'm looking at people staring at me. I'm like, why is it dude staring at me? And I don't think anything of it. And it's just different, all right? And you know, people be like, well, what's Tim Parker like? I'm like, he's Tim. Like, what about him, right? Like, you get to know them as humans, but then so many of the fans are these idols, these things that are like 30 feet away, like you're saying, and they're not something to be consumed, right? They're human beings, and I think it was neat for a while to be on the other side of that in a quote big club with a big fan base of like, why are they going nuts over this guy? Like, you know, I know how he eats. You know?
Yeah. Oh, one of our favorite questions for players, and especially if we get two on, that's like, who gets the craziest thing at the hotel buffet? Because like you find out like people are real, and everyone's got weird things that somebody gets on the team at the hotel buffet.
Yeah.
Pancakes or waffles?
Oh man.
Speaking of hotel buffets,
I gotta go pancakes.
Why?
Good man.
Because I like to feel full. I could eat 12 waffles and still be hungry.
Have you ever done the Waffle House challenge?
Probably in high school, didn't know I was doing it, but as much as I was,
At Waffle
as
House.
much as I was at Waffle House, I'm sure I've done it.
Favorite type of French fries? I'll let you say brand too.
Something about Zaxby's French fries. And here's why. The first ever Zaxby's was across from my dorm at Georgia Southern before they franchised.
That's incredible.
So like I could literally walk out my door and it was like a trailer. It wasn't like a nice building, but it was awesome. And so I think I had my weight in Zaxby's fries in my freshman year in college. So yeah.
Zaxby's is fantastic.
Yeah.
Do you dip your fries in anything?
Ketchup for sure.
I'll dip mine in mayo. I'll dip them in whatever sauce, anything.
We don't need to hear from you.
These two have very particular thoughts on dipping fries and things.
I hear that.
I think the fries should be good enough. They don't need dip.
Yeah.
I think it's fine to dip whatever you want, no matter how good the fry is. If you think the fries are a vehicle for sauce, I think that rules. If you think that the fries are so good you don't want to ruin them, I think that rules. I think you should stop being so judgy about fries, Matthew. Matthew doesn't like any dipping sauces.
Yeah, I heard that.
If we did this podcast about the weird things that he likes, we would all turn the podcast off.
Fair enough.
Do you drink coffee?
Oh yeah.
Like how much are we talking?
So, in order not to be bouncing off the walls, I do at home. I do it. I get up early before everybody else, and I do kind of like a third regular and 2/3 decaf because I like to drink a crap ton of coffee.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So, because if I have 4 cups of real coffee, you couldn't talk to me right now.
So you have one of those Mr. Coffee or one of those kind of machines.
Old school. I scoop in 2 and I scoop in 5. Boop. Yep.
Hell yeah.
How many? Let's say how big's the mug? 12 ounces roughly.
Yeah, I suck at math, so sure.
How many 12-ounce mugs are you drinking?
4.
Before everyone gets up, or as the morning goes on?
As the morning goes on.
So by 10 a.m., let's say you've had 4 third calf cups of coffee, essentially.
Something like that. Yeah.
Okay, and then during the day.
I'm not it has to be right occasion. Like I have a window for coffee. It's 7 a.m. to 11, and then I'm not jonesing for it as much.
No energy drink, no tea, no nothing in the afternoon.
Nah.
You never jumped on the Celsius train?
Boy, the kids are.
You value your heart, so that's good.
I do. No, I'd watch some guys guzzle that and then go play and see their heart and the heart rate monitor going that ain't good. Because they're all strapped up, right?
Yeah.
GPS and all the data, you get reports my gosh, that's not good.
Would you get live, Toby? Would you get live time reports during the game, and would that influence sub decisions?
100%. Yeah, even at training. So our sports performance guy would be out there with his iPad, and we tracked HMLs, hypermetabolic load. So basically, X cells, D cells, distance runs, all that stuff, and everything was in a tactical periodization. And so, if our goal is 700 HMLs, you have some guys that would be 725, some guys at 580, and you have to kind of watch it. Some guys are getting higher, and you try to get everybody within that range on that training day. And then in games, for sure, we had sports performance guys that could predict, if he stays in, he's going to get hurt. Just based on all his data from the previous 2 weeks, he's trending towards an injury anyway because he's overtrained. And now if you're going to push him in the 78th, 85th minute, he's way in the red of popping something. So yeah, they know their stuff.
When I'm going off script here, when you would make a sub for performance reasons, this player is way too far. We need to take them off for their own safety.
Yep.
If it was a really good player or an attacking player and you're chasing a goal, and if I didn't know anything about the performance data and I just saw a sub thinking about players as robots, not as humans, how often did that happen where fans would look at that later and be like, why the hell did they make that sub?
Oh, all the time.
Is that do you think that's the majority of...
Yeah, I was telling a friend of mine the other day, what you see from the outside ain't what's happening on the inside. It's not. What the PRs sent out and everything, all BS. What's actually happening compared to what perceives is happening, just two totally different things. So yeah, you got to look at it as a staff. We're looking at the whole season, from our coaching philosophy, from our leadership philosophy, all of it. We're not only coaching that game. We're coaching the next 25 games as well. And if we're 1-1 on the road against our rival and our top striker's on the verge of pulling a hamstring, and maybe we can make that 2-1, but then he pops it and he's gone for 3 months, like what's the risk reward of that? So yeah, there's a lot of that does happen. Now, it also happens in the opposite where we know everybody's sprint max. And if a guy's not touching his max, with my philosophy is sprinting, ball-orientated pressing, counter-pressing, forward passing, like we expect everybody.
You guys played terror ball.
Yeah, we want to. Yeah, yeah. It's not friendly, right?
We want to play terror ball. So
on this podcast, we're fans of terror ball.
Well, I think everything in moderation, right? So if you want to get me going, the unadulterated idea and method, which people call the Red Bull philosophy, came back from Hoffenheim from Ralph Rangnick. And that whole idea was to get the most out of the cheapest roster.
Yeah.
Right? You sprint more, you press more, you forward pass more. So everything was data driven, right? And so the whole philosophy and the premise was based on some basic data points that you have a higher percentage chance of winning the ball back if you attack it within 8 seconds of losing it. And you have a significantly higher chance of scoring if you shoot within 10 seconds of regaining it. So if you look at those two things, why the hell would you ever play sideways or backwards? It was always forward. And so there's different variations of that, right? We, at St. Louis, we were very vertical, very. With our second team, we were more like a Red Bull light. We tried to play a little bit, but we pressed and counter-pressed. If you looked at Philly this year with Brad, who I worked with,
yep,
he found that magic, that middle ground. They were the funnest team to watch. Them and San Diego and MLS for me, the two funnest teams to watch this past year. So there's different variations. Liverpool, right? They would have a whole lot more of the ball, but we had a target rate every match of possession that we wanted, and it was below 50%. We didn't want the ball that much. Now that doesn't mean, we don't value the ball. And I think that's where it can spider off to a lot of different philosophies, right? So for me, I want to create high percentage chances. I want to press. I want to control territory more than I want to control possession. And I think when you're developing young players, vertical passes under pressure, counter pressing is paramount. Because if I'm developing you and you're up and coming number 10 or 6, right, that I want to make brave forward passes. And if I don't have a support mechanism of counter pressing, we're like, hey, you can play that ball into that really tight space. And if it doesn't come off, we've got 5 guys who are going to swarm it and win it back. As opposed, if we're really big and you play that ball, or think about a winger that you want a guy to take one-on-one. He takes him on, he loses it. There's not another supporting player within 7 miles of him. So now everybody's got to run 70 yards back. It demotivates forward, aggressive, risk-taking play. So there's a lot of different ways, right? And so, we were the second lowest paid team in the league in 2023. Yet we've won the Western Conference. So it does work. But it's a hard philosophy to train and maintain and sell. Like you need the right people, the right players, the right support mechanisms. It's a lot, but it's fun.
Look at Ralph Rangnick going to United and then it not working.
Yeah.
Right?
It's very hard to have that philosophy with Rolls Royces. It is.
Yeah. I mean, it's also just hard to make anything like absolutes. Mm-hmm. Like you said with Rolls Royces, but also just absolutes.
Or with people who can't run.
Yeah.
Who wear number 7.
Yeah, or won't run.
It's like, I make too much money to run. I'm not doing this. And that's...
Well, look at Xabi Alonso at Real Madrid right now. They started out absolutely gangbusters. They seem to be doing exactly what he was doing at Leverkusen. Not exactly, but like what he was doing at Leverkusen, what he wanted to do. He seems to, around the Classico, have maybe lost a little bit of the faith of the dressing room there, or at least some of the big stars, and they're declining because they're not doing what they were before. And it appears to be, from the outside, who knows what's going on the inside, but it appears to not be a cohesive group now.
Yeah.
And if the Rolls Royces are not pressing, which Real Madrid is nothing if not a whole bunch of Rolls Royces,
collection of them,
and he had them doing it, and they were killing it, and now all their underlying numbers have dropped, their results have dropped, everything's dropped.
I mean, it's a hard philosophy to maintain. Your tactical periodization has to be perfect.
And your fitness probably has to be really good too.
And your training has to be perfectly aligned with your game model. If it varies off a little bit, it slips out from under you.
I think one of the other things that's really important with that, and I think back to Mauricio Pochettino's Spurs, is you got to have new bodies and fresh blood to keep things interesting and different. Because if it's only the same all the time, Klopp I think had this problem too towards at one stretch there. If you don't change enough of the bodies over time, guys who win things and win a lot of things start deciding, okay, I don't need to make that run. I don't need to, it's no big deal. Like they've got that back there. I'll just wait around for a second. And I think that it brings complacency, and at the highest levels, a little bit of complacency can be the end.
Well, the hardest thing to manage at the highest levels, and I haven't been, I haven't coached a European game or anything, but when you have your top 3 or 4 or 5 earners that have a direct route to the owner, that's when it gets really difficult.
For sure.
Yeah.
They have to believe.
Because you're looking at, it was such a different leadership challenge when you're looking at guys with their contracts are longer than mine, right? So like they're like, hey, I'll just wait this guy out. Mm-hmm. And if you look at the coaching carousel,
or it's easier to change the coach than the whole locker room.
It seems to be.
That's the whole thing in world soccer right now, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's that's all sports.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's that tension point of like what's the and there's always the new coach bounce.
Yeah.
Right? You see that. It happens. It lasts for a little bit. Sometimes it fizzles out. Sometimes it keeps going. But, that little bounce can keep you either not relegated or in the league. It just depends.
All right. That was an incredible tangent, and I'm glad we did it.
Can we pause for a minute?
A few moments later.
So to kind of piggyback what I was leaving with, for me, I think I would rather be proactive than reactive. I'd rather go create a mistake than wait for the team to make one, right? And I just think, you're going to get overplayed sometimes, but over the course of a 34-game season, you win more than you lose, in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know how you feel, but I feel like development-wise in this league, everybody does want to have the ball for the most part. Not exclusively, but like, I don't know, if you got 15 teams in a conference, 11 or 12 of them want to have the ball. Mm-hmm. But after that, like, I wonder what you see in this, but if you're going to go press and try to turn the ball over, I feel like you're creating a particular type of player. And if your first team is pressing, like that's much more valuable than playing passive. Like there are no teams in this league. They either press or they try to hold the ball, but there's basically no one that sits in a low block. At least in the East. I don't know what the West doesn't exist. Our joke is the West doesn't exist because we just watch the East only. Because it's just like baseball, like God intended, is only on, you only play one until you get to the final.
Right.
So in the East, there was no one that sat in any sort of low block. You could force a team into a low block potentially, and we sat in a low block, to be clear. But nobody
a lot of low blocks.
But nobody that we played chose to sit in a low block.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's a developmental purpose. Or
Well, I mean, why would they? I mean, that's not the purpose. I mean, they're not. They're here. The kids are here to learn.
Yeah, totally. But do you feel that also works, I guess, on a pressing front and on a developmental front? Like, I guess, do you see that as true? Maybe you see that as not as true. But do you see that as true? And then do you see that like, hey, as for development purposes, getting out and pressing and making these risky passes
look at Red Bull. Look at Philly. Right, I think that's a perfect example of a philosophy that drives development. Look at
Philly plays not full terror ball, but they play some terror ball.
They do, but like creating that kind of pressure and intensity in a training session day in and day out, like you can't
creates diamonds.
It does, and so it multiplies and ramps up the development of a player, making them uncomfortable constantly, but also linking the philosophy with the workload and constantly reminding why we're doing it. So go back. So during the pandemic, everything shut down. One of my good friends got his UEFA or USSF Pro with Jesse Marsh. I got his contact details and I called him, and he was at Salzburg at the time. And so we got on, I guess it was Skype, whatever it was, 6 years ago, whatever we were all doing. And had multiple conversations with him, just picking his brain on what he does, why he does it. And it really revolutionized kind of how I was looking at it. And one of the things that he says is we press to score goals. Period. That's it. We think we can turn teams over. It's a shorter route to goal, first pass forward mentality, and we press to score goals, and not just to win the ball high up the field so we can now create an overload and then get a wide. Like, no, that's what we're doing, right? And just keeping it as simple as possible. So I think with that, when you take a forward who wants to score goals, and you're like, listen, pal, you could score 4 or you could score 12. Like, it really depends on how much you press how much risk you want to put into this, and how much out of the comfort zone do you want to get. And a lot of times I listen. Sometimes I don't. But it really depends on the player. So I would agree that style, training that way every single day. Because if you think about it, like a basic rondo, if everybody's counter pressing you constantly, it's like a street fight all the time. And so when we go back to our first year at St. Louis, we went 5-0. In our first 2 games, like millionaire pros were passing us the ball and we were walking it in the net. But in the 70th, 75th minute, because they had just been harassed the whole game. Now they eventually caught on to us, but there's something to it for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
What's your favorite pizza spot in town?
That was a nice segue.
It was.
We have deep philosophical player development conversations and pizza.
No,
that's
an important question because I have to be careful how I answer this.
Oh.
So I think
Chipotle.
they don't have pizza. If they did, I would eat it.
Absolutely.
Tex-Mex pizza.
Don't tempt them. They might do it.
I would. So I think way back when my wife was in college here, Mr. T's was like a standard.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Chattanooga institution.
Right.
Still there.
Yeah.
Still good.
Yeah.
It is still good, but there's a lot more choice now.
Yeah, there is. So I would say that's probably, a pretty safe bet.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
A lot of post-game pizza has been had from Mr. T's in the CFC universe for sure.
I'm sure.
Oh, yeah. What's your ideal hot dog? We're talking like what type of bun, what type of dog,
Yeah, I'm just-
condiments, like anything.
Don't say
Yeah.
ketchup.
Chili,
Don't say
cheese, little onion.
ketchup. Don't say ketchup.
Man.
Say whatever you feel. Don't listen to Jim.
So I like lots of ketchup.
Yeah, my man. All condiments
We're
are
all
good.
fucking 6 years old.
What? I forget the name of the brand. My wife always buys them. I forget. They're like the healthier brand or something. It'll hit me later, I'm sure.
The healthier brand of hot dog?
Yeah, not all the fake nonsense.
Are you an all
and
beef?
stuff.
Are you an all beef hot
Nathan's?
dog kind of guy?
I'm an all whatever my wife buys and and then I eat it. She puts it through the filter, the health filter.
Nathan's are good.
I love Nathan's all beef dogs.
Yeah, I'm pretty old school. Like just ketchup mustard, man. I'm happy. And
Hell yeah.
and a normal bun. I'm good to go.
All right.
Sorry if I disappointed.
I love a potato bun. It's not the only good bun, but I love a potato bun. And then any condiments you want, I prefer all 3, ketchup, mayo, and mustard.
Yes, God.
But I'll take any one of the 3, including just mayo.
America.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
I love watching Jim squirm.
All right, two more questions
Yeah.
in the food variety. Ideal burger.
All right. Is it a place you get a burger or
You
just
can
any?
you can do a place, but also
how
like,
you get the burger.
how
How
do
you like
you-
the burger.
what is your ideal burger to eat?
Yeah. So again, I'm kind of old school, right? I don't like a whole lot of bells and whistles on the burger. However, I had a burger with pimento cheese lately, and that kind of blew my mind. Got to be honest. And I think it also had like an onion ring on it too. I don't know what it was. I forget where I was or where I had it, but it's my new thing. I think I enjoyed that.
My ideal includes Swiss, so
Yeah.
a cheese thing is not unreasonable. For me.
Swiss would not be on my burger.
It's fantastic.
Matthew-
With mushrooms or just even like
Shrimps are optional. You don't need it. Little Swiss, little bacon.
I don't understand.
Jim, sometime we'll do a podcast and we'll rehash all of Matthew's, and you can get a new taste, and I mean like as a friend of his like terrific atrocities on the food realm.
Yeah.
This is a complete side note, but I just learned. I think Maddie was scrolling, as the people do sometimes, and someone was making homemade skyline. And now I want to do that.
I'd rather go hungry. Skyline chili.
All right.
No.
Steak.
How you getting it cooked?
So I'm more of a medium well guy.
Oh no.
I don't like a lot of blood in it. Just you can't.
It's not blood.
Yeah. Well, juice. Right. I don't want to see the pulse as I'm trying to cut into it.
So we've now found an objectionable food take for you. All right, we got there. No one is perfect.
Yeah. You walk a cow through a warm room and you slice a piece
and then
off.
you sear it, man. That's it. Just salt and pepper, seared on both sides, good to go. Was it? Not a whole lot.
What sides, if you could pick any sides to have with your steak?
I love sauteed mushrooms and onions with it, and then some mashed potatoes.
Are you topping, or are you just putting the onions and mushrooms to the side?
They end up all in the same place anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
Do you have a favorite like steakhouse?
I don't. No. Oh, okay. There's one in Tampa. I forget the name of it. I went years ago, and if I can remember, I've never had steak like that. I didn't know steak could be cooked like that. It was a very expensive piece of steak. So it kind of, it opened my eyes for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, it'll hit me later.
All right. Let's talk about the foundation 2026 through 2028.
Yeah.
You just did a strategic plan. Board approved it.
Yeah.
What's next?
That's a good question. So funny you asked that. We've got our strategic plan right here. Well, we pulled, it's not, here's the good news. It's like we're starting a nonprofit. Like the work has been done, and it's been done well, and it's been done by really trustworthy, great people, and there's results everywhere. You see kids that have come through CSM, OGA, that have played in leagues that are now 28, 30, 32 years old. Some of them are even coaching with our CSM team. Some of them are even coaching in CFC and the academy. So like the results are there, right? And so there's been so much good work. The real challenge was narrowing down what we're doing, because we had our hands in a lot of jars, and so we don't want to be okay at a lot, we want to be great at a few, and that's kind of what we decided to do. So we revamped our mission. Our new mission is we use the game of soccer to cultivate belonging, growth, and hope in Chattanooga's under-resourced neighborhoods. Our vision is we dream of a strong, connected Chattanooga where all our neighbors are embraced with dignity in a vibrant community. Through the joy of soccer, we build bridges across cultures to foster transformation for all we serve. So we have a lot of promise statements in that. And our 4 key initiatives. By November 2028, we're going to define and establish and execute a long-term, top-of-class mentorship framework. So we want, other than just providing safe spaces, we really want to lean in a deeper level to some of the kids we're investing in. By November 28, we want Highland Park Commons and Montague Park will be the parks of choice within the neighborhoods where they exist. So we need to spend a lot of time on Montague right now. We got a turf, we've got lights, everything's great, but the infrastructure is way behind for what we want it to be.
And there's still only one field right now at Montague.
We want to do 2 more.
Yeah.
We want to do 2 more over the next 3 years. We wanted to operate a lot like HPC, where there's gates, there's safety, there's lots of lights, there's leagues, there's staff members there, there's visibility. We have touch points where staff can walk around and get to see people. We're chasing it a little bit. The facility's there, but the infrastructure's not. We've got to.
That's independent from the city's goal of turning Montague Park broadly.
So we have a lease for a section of the park, but what we're doing fits in with the broad scale.
Yeah,
we're not working against each other. We're definitely in
right.
hand, right? But we've got to raise money to get those other 2 fields and to get that infrastructure up and running.
And the city needs to raise money for
their side of it.
The other 100 acres.
Oh, I'll let you talk about that on another podcast.
These are Matthew's words, not John's words.
Moving on to number 3. By November 28, the foundation will develop a fundraising plan that provides for annual financial stability as well as growth funding and capital projects. So that's really my job as executive director. We're working with a consultancy group, and the beautiful thing about Chattanooga, it's one of the most generous places, I think, in the country. The amount of giving that, going back through all the records, from all shapes and sizes and people, from foundations, businesses, individuals, churches, groups, you name it. The amount of people that are willing to invest in the work is pretty astounding. And again, that's something that Cruz set up and the previous folks before me. And so we're hoping to really lean into that core group and continue the fundraising. And then lastly, by 2028, we'll have defined, established, and executed a strategy for holistic transformation through spiritual formation for all the staff, participants, and all of our programs. So again, it's taking what we're doing and putting more meat on the bones, right? Of getting on deeper levels for staff that we hire, people that we engage with. One of the really great things that my director of operations, Caitlin, does is she's really, really good at trauma-informed coaching, because a lot of the kids that we deal with have dealt with a lot of trauma. Mm-hmm. and to actually be able to create an environment when a kid gets dysregulated that it's not punitive, that you find a way to connect and regulate and help, as opposed to like, hey, you're disrupting, you're out. And so it's hard, and it's not for the weak of spirit, right? And so we're looking for people that have that heart and that want to lean in and do the hard work. And again, soccer is just a vehicle, right? I mean, if we develop players along the way, awesome. Now, we've had some Forge kids that have come through and then moved on to CFC Academy, and we've had a few Forge kids come play for the U20s this past fall, and that's a cherry on top, right? But it's really the stories, their stories we're more interested in, and soccer, again, is just a part of it.
Very, very cool.
It's incredible.
Speaking of the U20s, so you're coaching the U20 team, correct? Talk to me about, I guess, that and what it looks like. I think we've all kind of become aware that the U20s are playing in the UPSL, and the second team, the CFC second team that was going to start, hasn't started yet, so the U20s are kind of the de facto second team. That's a whole separate conversation maybe, but like, what does it look like? What's up? Have you guys had the playoff game yet?
Yeah, we lost. Thanks for asking.
Sorry, buddy.
That's all right.
My bad.
That's all right. No, so over the summer, Miguel, the academy director, and I talked, and they floated the idea of, hey, we're going to do a U20 team. Would you be interested? And I'd taken some time off from coaching, and I was getting the itch again. And when Sheldon and I talked about me coming back here, I wanted to find ways to add value. And the foundation's the main way, but if I could coach on the side, that's great. So, we had our U20s. Our first practice, we had 13 guys show up, and I was like, oh, boy. We've got a long way to go. And so, long story short, we added a few pieces along the way. And, for me, how I do anything is how I do everything. I don't dabble. So, we just went after it. And so I had instead of a 4-day build and periodization, I had a 3, and I gave them a philosophy and an identity, and we trained it. And, credit to those guys that really bought into it, and it stretched them. They were uncomfortable, but I think, I wondered if we'd win a game at first, and then we ended up winning a whole lot more. And went to the playoffs, and similarly lost, but we were down in Macon. It was foggy and wet, and there were fans yelling at us, and the ground sucked. And to a lot of these players and some of the parents would imagine, like, oh man, like we should have been on turf, but like the reality is this is getting you ready for men's level football. Like people yelling at you, the field's junk, the other team's mean. Like it's not a safe place, right? It's why European teams send their top talents to a 4th division team in the middle of nowhere just to put some meat on their bones. And so it was good. It was a good experience for the guys, and we're looking at having a spring season as well now.
How old are most of your players?
So the youngest, I think, was 16, and the oldest was 20. And then we added a college player at the very end, a goalkeeper who had an injury. So a guy from Lee University who finished up eligibility popped in and played the last few games for us because we had an injury.
I came down to Montague for the final game in the regular season.
Yeah.
Which was fun.
Yeah.
It was fun to watch.
The flip throw was interesting, wasn't it?
Someone on the other team did a flip throw?
Yeah.
I'm assuming it wasn't on your team.
It's
But
the first time I've ever seen a guy do a flip throw.
Yeah.
I've seen it on video, but never in person.
I was like, what is he? Oh, he's doing it.
Was that the other?
The Scenic City.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was impressive.
The first one, I don't think cleared the person in front of him.
Yeah. But the second and third definitely did.
The second and third were dangerous.
Yeah, they were.
I wonder who that was.
I don't know.
Yeah.
That's the same team that it's the ashes of the same team that your boys played on, right? Remembering that right?
Well, no, friends.
Okay.
Friends like Gavin and his brother. I can't remember their names. Yeah.
Castles.
Yeah, the Castles.
Yeah.
Aiden, good grief, Aiden. Aiden's not listening to this. So.
And then how many are? You said most of them are I guess, are CFC Academy, and then a few of them are Forge kids. Is that correct?
Yeah, we brought a few Forge guys over. Yeah,
that's very cool.
Yeah, it was really neat.
Very cool to intertwine.
Yeah, and that's kind of the foundation and CFC Academy were 2 totally different organizations, 2 totally different boards, but we co-brand, right? And I think as best I can to keep it all within the family in that way, I think it's pretty neat. So yeah.
Yeah, something. I think it was Sheldon that said this, but if I'm not a direct quote, I'll paraphrase, but it was basically like, we want to, I think it was actually Crew that said this. Through Forge, we want to develop like good players. We also want all the things about safety. I don't want to try to rehash because it's all the things you said, right?
Right.
We want to have this safe place for these kids to play. We want them to get to be whatever they're going to be, but we care a little bit less about development. But also, we think we're going to develop some really good players.
Yeah,
and if they play for CFC Academy, cool. But also, if they don't, who cares? But I think it's really cool to see like the ability to cross over.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess theoretically either way, potentially, if something happens in the academy and it's that's no longer a good fit, like having another pathway for somebody to play.
And that's been, there are a few Forge kids that have moved over and then vice versa. Right. And I think, we're just, our main goal through Forge is to remove as many obstacles for them playing as possible. Right. They get uniforms. They pay little to nothing. It's essentially, I hate to use the term club soccer because don't get me started on pay to play. But it's accessible for our community. And we didn't want these young players to not have an opportunity. And that's the whole point, is we remove as many barriers as we can.
Beautiful. I mean, fits the mission to a T. What do we have left, boys?
Well, I guess how do supporters how do we get more involved with the foundation?
No, that's a great question. I think visibility is great. Obviously we have ways you can donate. That's a simple way, right? I think when you see we've revamped the website, and we always need coaches, OGA coaches. We need Operation Get Active, where we go into schools. Mm-hmm. And it's an after school soccer program. It's always hard to find coaches for that. We need coaches for Forge. If there are ways, and listen, we don't need people with like coaching badges. We part of our mission is to educate coaches as well. And we've had one guy in particular who came through OGA and then ended up coaching at CSM and is now my assistant for the U20s. So they've come through that. That's fine. We'll take you as you are, right? We want you brave enough to lean into the work and to love on the kids that need a safe adult that can create a safe space for them. Be as visible as you can. Find ways you can help other than donating. All right. That was a good question.
Incredible. That's all I have.
Did you anything you were hoping we'd ask you about?
No, I think we covered.
Anything you hoping we wouldn't ask you about?
Yeah, there's one. There's one. You didn't touch it, which was good.
Okay, good.
We'll stay away from it, whatever it was.
We can talk after we turn this off. How's that?
Fair. Yeah. Listeners, viewers, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. John, thank you for joining us.
This is great.
Really, really appreciate it. Reach out, guys, if you decide you want to get involved. You heard the OGA coaching. I have many friends. I'm wearing an OGA coach's jersey. I've not been an OGA coach. This is very much stolen valor. But it is. I have many friends who have coached. Jay Buchanan, former podcast host, and still, the kind of one of the podcast founders of this podcast. This is his. He was a longtime OGA or CFC Foundation employee and CFC employee, and he's many people have done good work and can do good work. And I know some people getting a little bit of money as well to play to coach and to fit in their lifestyle. And, I think it's as rewarding as it can be for you, for what you do and how you feel about it. But also, it's not always unpaid if you have the right skills to the thing. So thank you for listening. Thank you for watching, and we'll catch up with you guys later. Peace.